Brussels now is negotiating not with David Davis and Theresa May, but with the whole of the House of Commons.
I don't agree with that. Ultimately, the government carries the negotiation, and I don't actually think that last night's events in any way diminish the Prime Minister's ability to get a good deal in our Brussels negotiations. I think actually rather the reverse. I think that an outbreak of sanity at Westminster in respect of how Brexit should be carried out and an end to the drift which has been tending to give the impression that the UK is about to take a whole series of really rather dangerous shortcuts in leaving is in fact to her advantage.
How can it possibly be to her advantage as she arrives in Brussels today, less than a week from seeming to manage to pull something together with that deal on Friday? She's now surely weakened and exposed. Any deal she does, she has to get past the House of Commons, has to get past a vote. It's likened to a divorce, Mr. Grieve. This is like a divorce, and you have to get your in-laws to agree to the terms.
Well, I'm afraid I don't agree with you. There is a very big majority in Parliament to support the Prime Minister right across the House in order to achieve sensible Brexit terms and to try and take us out of the EU and towards a different future in a way that minimises risk and maximises opportunity. The problem, and I think this is what we were focused on last night, is that there is also a tendency which is sort of we must get out at all costs and take shortcuts for doing it, remove layers of parliamentary scrutiny which are necessary in order to carry it out. There's a sort of frenzy, and at some point this was going to come to a head. It's been apparent as we were looking at the legislation over the last 3 weeks that there is this tension between people who sort of rather say, couldn't care less what's happening, chuck out the rule book, whatever happens we leave, doesn't matter how we do it, we're off. And there are people who say, this really matters, it's the future well-being of our country here, and we have got to take it sensibly and in stages, respect our constitutional conventions, and not do, as Clause 9 was threatening to do in this bill, try to carry out a shortcut which was constitutionally incoherent. Now, throughout this bill, it's been, up to now, possible to have sensible dialogue, and indeed, as a result, the bill has been steadily improved without the government losing a vote, and I'm very pleased about that, and I've also recognised the government has many challenges to face. But we came to a point last night where it was quite apparent to me from the whole way in which the government responded to this amendment that they, I'm afraid, were really not listening. At the very last minute, they gave the impression they were starting to listen, but I'm afraid it was so late in the day, and what was being offered was really so little in view of the issues around this clause that it wasn't enough. I'm very sorry. I've been in Parliament. I've been in Parliament for 20 years. And apart from HS2, as a backbencher, because it concerns my constituency, I've never rebelled before. But something had to be done to stop this drift towards a completely incoherent sort of Brexit, relying on essentially government by decree. And whilst I recognise that the government has many problems, the best way of achieving the right Brexit is by using Parliament properly.
Nadine Dorries, another Conservative, says, and I quote, "The Tory rebels have put a spring in Labour's step, given them a taste of winning, guaranteed the party a weekend of bad press, undermined the PM and devalued her impact in Brussels. They should be deselected and never allowed to stand as a Tory MP ever again." About the first part of that sentence or paragraph, she's right, isn't she? There is a spring in Labour's step, Mr. Grieve. There is a spring.
It's inevitable that if there is going to be a coming together across the floor of the House of Commons in order to achieve something, those who are members of Parliament for opposition parties may well feel invigorated because, generally speaking, they can't win votes. I mean, having been an opposition MP and participated in rebellions encouraging government backbenchers to rebel, I know exactly how one feels as a result of it. But the Prime Minister is not weakened by this. Indeed, if she uses this result sensibly, she's considerably strengthened.
How long has she got, Sir Eric? Good morning.
I think she's got as long as she wants. I don't think we remove a leader because she had a cough. I mean, I actually went through that myself earlier this year. I went to deliver a speech in Brighton, and that happened to me.
There must be things you can do, medicines you can take, a doctor you should see. This was a key speech. I'm not going to say it was the speech of her life. It seems calamitous that no one thought of that.
Well, I didn't know she had such a bad cold. Last time I saw her was on Sunday, and you kind of battle on through these things. Where it's quite a strain doing that. I mean, I've done conference speeches myself, and the longest of all is obviously the leaders. But I thought she did remarkably well to battle through. Most people would have not would have stopped.
Well, I don't know if you're the leader of a party and you're a prime minister, you even have the option to stop. Ultimately, though, Sir Eric, it's fair to say she was looking for respect and authority, and she's got sympathy and pity. It's not what a prime minister wants, is it?
No, she got love and support, and that's
well, it makes it sound like an elderly relative, Sir Eric. That's like someone you put a blanket around. Come on, she's meant to lead a country.